Hey, it's Obi Chukwumah of Space and Equity, where we're all about increasing assets and creating new space. Here today with a new but good friend, EJ Akeredolu.
Yeah, EJ Akeredolu. How y'all doing out there, man? Nice to be here.
Man, I appreciate you coming out.
Appreciate it.
We got a lot to talk about. I have a fellow Nigerian here, a fellow hustler, so we can't start the podcast before we get into Kore Homes and what you're doing today.
Yeah.
Tell me about the origin story. You transitioned from Nigeria to here. Tell me about that.
EJ Akeredolu. I'm from Arlington, Texas. Went to Timberview High School, went to South Grand Prairie High School. My parents are both Nigerian. Of course, I am as well, Nigerian American. I was born here. Man, just, one of those kids, man, that kind of grew up in a situation that, had to kind of fight to get out of.
Mm-hmm.
Lost my mother at an early age, and man, I just kind of used that as motivation to, push everything else I had going forward, man. There was a lot of, ups and downs, and, I used to be one of those knuckleheads, man, class clown and things like that, but, I just tried to, grow and mature and, just try to use, negative energy and turn it into something positive.
So
that was the goal.
What I find a lot of times is when we have a loved one that's lost.
Yep.
I lost my brother 4 years ago this month.
Sorry to hear that, man.
We want their story to be remembered and highlighted. How do you find navigate? It's uncomfortable for those who love you, but they don't have the same connection. Their thought process is, let me not bring that up.
Yeah.
So I don't hurt you.
Yeah.
Tell the audience about why bringing up mom, bringing up her story actually gives you fuel, encourages you.
Man, one thing I want to say, man, like in life, you got to kind of try to find things that keep you motivated, that keep you going. To me, man, that's the best thing for me to just think about, and the best thing to help me push forward.
Okay.
I mean, she meant the world to me, right? She brought me into this. She brought me into this world.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like, hey, let me keep using that as motivation, push forward, and I'm not afraid to talk about it because when I talk about it, I may help somebody else that's going through that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, my situation was bad, but somebody's story was, worse than mine. So to me, that's just kind of the thing that I use whenever I'm just really talking to people and trying to inspire and motivate. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here today, man, to inspire and to help motivate and show others, man, that, hey, anything's possible. I made it through a tough situation, and now I'm reaping the benefit.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely here because you have an inspirational story. It inspired me.
I appreciate it.
We a generation apart almost, but we got the same hustle. So 91, 92, that's when you were born in that space, right?
Yeah, 91.
Man, I was already full blown into hip hop through my brother who was passed now. By then, I had Digital Underground, EPMD.
Digital Underground, that's that I Get Around with Tupac.
I Get Around, yep. That was my first tape.
Okay.
Humpty Dance, I memorized that, so I have that for my own. But we're different generations. We enjoy the same music. Tell me about what music means to you. I know you manage an artist. How did that come about in your story?
Man, music means a lot to me. Music means a lot to my family. Growing up, man, I always remember listening to music, man. One of the first albums, man, I ever bought, I think it was 3rd or 4th grade. It was Nelly Country Grammar.
Okay.
Man, and it was a very important album to me, man. And it just had a lot of different beats, and I just always liked music. And after that, I remember the 50 Cent album, and music just means a lot to me, as a whole. But currently, man, I manage OG Bobby Billions.
Okay.
He's an artist out of Oak Cliff, Dallas, Texas. We grew up together, man. We went to college together.
Okay.
University of Houston. Go Cougs, and man, he made this crazy hit, man, and it's called Outside with Mo 3.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Mo 3. Man, it's a major song right now.
Okay.
It's currently gold and it's on the way to platinum. It'll probably be
awesome.
platinum, man, by the end of the month.
So you're managing a platinum artist.
Yeah.
You building houses.
Yeah.
You used to coach and you ain't even 30 years old
Yeah,
yet.
man,
Tell me
29.
about Tell me about the coaching experience. How did you get to the place where you're assistant coach for the Cougars?
So I wasn't specifically an assistant coach, but I was internal operations.
Okay.
Started out as a manager, 2011. Then worked my way into a grad assistant. Once I graduated undergrad, I got my master's while on staff. And then after that, man, they hired me full time as internal operations. Man, I took care of really all the recruiting visits and making sure, the players make their transition and from being off campus to on campus and, what else? Helping with game plans, just doing class checks. I was doing a little bit of everything.
Everything that needs to get done. There's a lot of
any and everything
parts
that needed to get done. We was literally internal operations, anything. So, yeah.
I mean, these guys are playing 3 times a week and trying to manage a school schedule.
It's a full-time job for them. Yeah. And really, man, I'm really happy to see the transition into seeing these guys get paid now. Okay. Right? Because me being there, man, and just seeing the struggle and helping those guys out, any way that I can, but knowing that, man, they really need it more than me, to be quite honest, because, man, they in there grinding.
They're employee first.
7 days a week. It's a
no confusion. They happen to be a student on the side, but they're employees
110%.
Yeah. So you're coaching your internal operations at Houston.
Yep.
You see Coach Sampson, you're like, man, he's grinded all this time. What was the epiphany for you that says, maybe I need to transition into something else?
Man, first and foremost, man, I got to give a shout out, man, to Coach Sampson, man. He's definitely a huge father figure in my life, man. He taught me a lot. Not even just about basketball, man, about life. It's a phrase he always says, man, 2 things you control is your effort and your attitude.
Okay.
And so making the transition from the previous coach to Coach Sampson, it was a rough transition, right? He had a lot more things he expected out of me. Okay. He had a lot more structure, a lot more organization, right? And so it made me become a guy that was almost obsessed with being organized and making sure I had structure. Man, I really got to thank him for that. Basketball to me is bigger than just a game, right? Because you learn a lot about yourself going through the the ups and the downs of the sport.
Absolutely.
So like I say, man, he taught me a lot, and making that transition from the game of basketball to being a full-time entrepreneur, I just knew, I got to keep it real. I like to party. I like to go out. I like to enjoy myself. I don't want to end up on ESPN.
You don't want that Urban Meyer story at your door?
Man, I don't want no story at my door, right? So let me be in control of my own fate, my destiny by putting things into my own hands and starting my own businesses and my own company and working for myself. So that was my goal, man.
That drive, that independence, really the guts.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Man, the guts, man, that comes from, man, growing up. Man, it comes from my foundation. Man, just about everybody that I looked up to, man, in my family, man, they were tough guys, and so I really took that with me. I always made sure, man, to make it understood that, hey, man, I'm gonna be a tough guy, and regardless if I tried to prove a point or not, I've learned now, as I'm older, there's always a better way to do it, even if you want to make it understood that, you're here to stay and you're a tough guy and you're gonna find a way to make it through, right? Okay. So that was kind of the idea. That was the goal.
Okay. Yeah. So this team has had a chance to see your work. Very impressive.
I appreciate that.
You in basketball, you're doing homes. Kore Homes now has developed 7 properties.
Yes.
It's on the 7th property as we speak. Tell me about what you've learned about the financial stack. What I mean by that is these products don't come without expenses. How do you make sure that your investors and your bank have what they need to make sure your project flows?
Man, everything is in the numbers, and the numbers are such an intricate part, man. Like, you have to be on top of it. And I feel like the reason why I'm doing well is because I'm gonna go back to the beginning, man. I got that OCD. You know, I like to be organized. I like to have structure. I like to have a system. So when I started out, man, I didn't necessarily have a system, right? But then I figured out my system and I wrote it down and I took things away from here, took things away from that, and started to see the numbers fluctuate. Okay. Maybe I won't use this painter because this painter wants to charge me more because I want to use 2 colors, right? Okay, how much is it going to cost me to use 1 color on the inside? Okay, yeah, well, that cuts the cost. Well, to me, it still looks good on the inside if I paint the home on the inside all white rather than him wanting to charge me more because the walls are gray and the baseboards are white. Just small little things like that. Every dollar counts, right? I get my OSB board from Oak Cliff Building Materials, right? Shout out to Oak Cliff Building Material, Carlos and Israel. You know what I mean? I get I get certain items from them, and then I get certain items from Blackland, right? Because the prices are different. You know, they look out for me over here at Oak Cliff Building Material because I shop so much with them. You know, I basically have a point system with them, and they just look out for me, right? And when I send guys there, they just continuously look out for me, man. And Blackland, you know, is a great company that I use, but that's just an example, right? Like I get things from them, and I get things from Oak Cliff Building Material. You just kind of got to know where to get things from, and just make sure your system is running right, because in this business, it's all about time. You know, 1 or 2 bad mistakes, man, can push you back a month, can push you back 2-3 weeks, you know, 2 months, right? But you got to kind of take your time and be on time, but go correctly with the motion, because if you don't, like I say, 1 bad move, man, can just really, really set you back. So I'm just all about the structure, being organized, man, and understanding every dollar counts. Maybe it's the Nigerian in me, I don't know, but every dollar counts. I'm gonna negotiate every dollar. You know, everything counts for me.
Well, as a banker, we love to hear that you have a full understanding of how to control your budget the most possible. You know, when we look at a construction project, we're going to put down a contingency, maybe 3 to 5%. But it's great to know when the builder says, you can put that contingency down, but I
have my own down as well.
I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work inside that. One of the challenges I see when I'm dealing with newer developers, newer business owners, is we starting line as a financial package. And I may put together an email and say, I need your personal financial statement. I need your tax returns. I need your company financials. And financials means your balance sheet and your income statement.
P&L, everything.
Oftentimes, all those things are just normal cost of it's like walking for me, because that's what I do every day. But it's not always the same for the business owner. When you've seen that package from me. When you see those documents, tell me from when you started to now, how intimidating or how easy is it to flow through those emails?
Man, when I first got that email, I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be tough. Like, how am I going to be able to get all these documents together? And, you know, I switched accountants and, you know, just it like when you first see it, it's very intimidating. You know, your email probably had like 8 or 9 bullet points, right? You know, that you needed from me. But once you go through it one time, after that, man, it just becomes easy. Like now I know to keep up with this. Now I know to keep updating that, right? And so I have those ready to go. And, you know, all I have to do is make a few edits here and there and call this person and say, hey, what did we do this? And, you know, so to me, that's just kind of how I keep up with it now. Now that I've already done it the first time years back, I've been able to keep up with it. And then the other thing as well, when you have certain relationships, you won't need these certain documents. And it's the honest truth. Once they see, hey, he's done 2 or 3 on his own, and now we trust him, now they're kind of more chill. Hey, just re-sign this. You know,
because we already have it in the system now. We're just updating.
Thank you.
Now, tell me about you talked about changing accountants. I'm sure there was a reason associated with that. Tell me about the professional relationships in general, your accountant, your attorney, your engineers. Tell me about the necessity to have those people lined up in your operations.
Man, the key to it all, okay, and this is my personal opinion, but there's 1 million lawyers, there's 1 million accountants, there's 1 million architects, engineers as well. It's about building a real relationship with these people. They need to understand you, and I need to understand them. Because when you understand how my life works, then you get, okay, this is why he probably wants to do it. Of course, my architect don't need to know nothing personal like that, but build with them. You know, man, go drop these guys off some water. You know, go give them a Christmas card so they kind of, you know, want to know a little bit about you. Let's go out to eat, man, and talk about these plans or talk about this project, you know, and really get to know each other at the same time because it makes it better. It makes it easier when we know each other.
Yep. Yeah. So when we started this, you know, I have the luxury of being in banking, so I know what it takes and why you need to have a professional circle around you.
Yeah.
But when we started this, you know, there was a gentleman, an attorney, a shout out to Sean Tate. He's a brother who graduated from UT Austin, has focuses in real estate attorney work. And I knew as we were building Space and Equity, there was going to be some real estate development. There was going to be operating agreements. They're going to be adjusted. Yep. It was going to be the umbrella to all the business entities. So on the front end, I said, what's your retainer fee? He said $5,000. Wow. Now, I'm all about knowing where every dollar goes and respect. $5,000 is a lot of money to just start a relationship.
Especially for a young business.
For a young business, but it's the best $5,000 spent. Because now, I essentially got him on speed dial. Hey, I need this, I need this, I need that. And when you have that developed relationship, he's doing the work.
Yeah.
He you know, at this, hopefully we're probably going to come to the end of that retainer and I have to give him some more money. Yeah. But it's more than worth it to know, peace of mind wise, everything's in order.
Definitely.
And this is what business owners, especially young business owners, we miss the boat a lot. We don't get the professional team over in front first, but it ends up costing us more in the long run.
On the back end, because we didn't have it ready, you know, up front, you know. Shout out to Eli Daniels, man. It's a really good friend of mine. Man, my former college roommate and a brother to me, man. That's my lawyer, man, and he's, you know, well, excuse me, that's one of my lawyers, but he's a good dude, man, and he already knows me.
Yeah.
So he knows how I move and how I operate. So for him to be a lawyer on my team, it just makes everything so much more easy, just like you said, you know, having that relationship.
Tell me about how you organize communication for your team. So look, you've got 7 projects going on.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, well, you're on your 7th build,
yep.
but you've got multiple projects going on at the same time.
Definitely.
What is the communication strategy that you deploy?
Well, the things that help the communication strategy is by using the same people, trying to have that same crew. When you start switching and, hey, let's try a whole, like, I'm not trying a whole new crew. These guys know me. They know how I work. Mm-hmm. They know what I expect, right? So when I keep the communication with them, I try to keep these guys on all my projects. Mm-hmm. So if I got one going on today, he's doing paint there, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Hey, next week on Tuesday, put me on schedule now. Mm-hmm. You'll be going over there to do that one. I just try to keep these guys, you know, busy and just keep my projects aligned. And if I can't help them, then I try to send them to somebody else that can get them some business. Why? Because it's still a good look on me, and it's still keeping them busy. Mm-hmm. So now, if I sent them to you, Obi, next week, but the following week I need them, that gap is filled now. So now they'll, you know, be able to come back to me and
trust. Component.
And it's a trust factor. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the term, I'm throwing out these jargon terms in banking, but I want to make them commonplace to our space and equity audience, come correct audience. So capital stack. Capital stack, what does that mean to you?
Capital stack to me can mean reserve. Mm-hmm. Capital stack to me can mean the banking, the funding that I'm getting that is going to work these projects. Okay. You know, capital stack can mean a few things, man. It really just depends on the way you use it, right? So, like I said, the reserve, the actual funding for the project, you know, because you always got to have some reserve. You got to have your what if fund to the side, and that's key because that'll keep your projects going. You know, if I call you, Obi, and hey, it's Monday, you know, and I need to pay these guys, but you can't get it to me till Wednesday. That's a problem, right? Because these guys like to get paid. Nobody wants to play about their money. Neither you or I, right? We don't want to play.
Those guys behind the camera. They sent me an invoice yesterday.
I bet.
They here because the invoice was paid. If the invoice wasn't paid,
they wouldn't have showed up.
There would have been a problem.
Thank you. Yeah. So to me, that's the key to it. That's the key.
Yeah. So just for the audience's sake, every business is funded with debt and equity.
Yeah.
Equity is what you bring to the table.
That's the smart way to do it. Some people do cash, but some people do a combination of both. But just like you said,
debt and equity.
That'll always be the case.
The cheapest debt is bank debt, but it's also the hardest debt to acquire. So as you're building, there's other forms of debt. You can have debt from treasury stock, meaning you'll have some people, sponsors say, I don't want percentage ownership in the business, but I'm giving you this money at X rate of return.
Definitely.
And then you can have a combination of both. But it's very important to understand how you put those pieces together so you can grow your projects at a scalable pace. Definitely. And not one at a time.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have some of those resources in place.
Definitely. 2022 definitely will be scaling. And hopefully we can, knock that out.
Absolutely.
That's the goal. But, 2022, man, I definitely want to scale. I want to do 3 to 4 at a time, right? That's the key, because what I've learned, the same amount of time it takes to build one house, it'll be the same amount it'll take to build two. If I start at the same time and I'm building the same home and it takes me 100 days to build this spec, why would it not take me 100 days to build the next spec? Unless there's a problem that occurs, But if I'm starting at the same time and I'm building the same home, if I'm doing 2, 3, or 4 at the same time, I can knock them all out, all together, and that'll speed up the process, and that's when you'll start to see the
networking. Is that when you network, you tap into the synergies or the networks of the other people around you.
Yeah.
So you've got a proven product. Core Homes, I can go online, I can see the wonderful work that you guys do. Say, okay, it's time for them to start getting cheaper forms of capital, which is that bank debt, the cheapest form. They've got the financials in order now, and now I can get you connected with my resources and get you the cheaper forms of capital. Just like the guys in the back. I knew I wanted to do a podcast. I thought I was going to be doing Zooms.
Okay.
2 people would have been watching. But I got Firebrand Media behind us now. They have all their intellectual capital that's being injected into what we're doing at Space and Equity. And now it's proliferating. I didn't know Jay from Adam, but I met Jay through a network, and Jay has connected me with all his network. It is so critical for business owners. We cannot do this on an island.
Nah, definitely.
Man, and if you share the wealth, you can grow the wealth and make a bigger
pot.
Man,
it'll come back. One thing I'll say, this is one of my keys. Anybody that knows me know I'm big on relationships. Super. Relationships, I feel like it would have gotten me here today by just networking and just knowing the right people, right? Because new construction isn't something that just fell in my lap. I started out rehabbing, and it was a headache, man, and the margins are just different. From rehabbing to new construction, to me, it's night and day. I would never rehab ever again. It absolutely has to make sense for me.
Yeah.
Like, if the numbers are not close to what I'm doing right now, I won't do it. It literally has to make sense. So, and it was all a relationship thing. I met one guy and he introduced me to this and introduced me to that, and I was like, oh yeah, new construction is what I want to do now. So, yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you. I'm glad that we're in the same influence circle now.
Thank you, brother.
EJ, what do you got to plug?
Man, I got to plug Abstract, man. Shout out to my cousin, man, Wale. Abstract Clothing, man. Shout out to U of H basketball team. Shout out to High Life, my marketing company, Kore Homes. Shout out to my artists, man, Bobby Billions, Billionaire Music Group. Shout out to Empire. Shout out to Obi, man. Man, I appreciate the opportunity on and off the camera, man, that this man has given me. Everything happens for a reason, man. I don't take nothing for granted. And stay motivated, man. Stay hungry, man. And, man, let's keep pushing.
Awesome, man. Man, EJ, it's been a pleasure to have you on here today. So you can find us on IG at Obi Empowers, Obi_Empowers. Find us on the website at spaceequity.com. You can find us on YouTube at Space Equity. Come correct, they can't stop you, man. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Have you on the show.